What's happening, everybody? Welcome to Week 12. Talking shop ahead of Thursday Night Football, hanging out ahead of Bills-Texans. And, of course, for the first time this week, we can truly make sense of some potential start-sit questions ahead of the weekend. So we can take a look at that. We'll look at the latest injury updates from around the league that we have and a general thought on tonight's game. There isn't too much. Not too much to talk about for tonight's game. You're starting on the Bills side. You're obviously starting, despite the tough matchup, Josh Allen and James Cook. Josh Allen is one rushing touchdown away from passing Cam Newton for the most all-time by a quarterback. Kind of like his odds to get that tonight, even though it's a tough matchup. There's a record on the line. You feel good about superstars when it comes to records on the line. So you feel fine about Allen. You play James Cook. You could possibly go to Khalil Shakir, depending on your options, and if you start 3 wide receivers, and if it's a PPR league and all that good stuff. Shakir is on the radar. As a wide receiver 3 with wide receiver 2 upside. And then on Houston's side, you can fire up Nico Collins, of course. Collins has been quite good in the past couple of games with Davis Mills, not C.J. Stroud, under center. So you can go to Nico Collins. You can go to Woody Marks. I'm not expecting the world, but they have kind of handed the backfield to him with Nick Chubb, pretty much in the twilight of his career at this point. And it's a good matchup. I'm not expecting a ton from Woody Marks tonight, but it's a good matchup, and you can go with him if you need to. That's probably it for this game. You start Josh Allen, you start James Cook, you start Nico Collins, you start Woody Marks. If you play a 3-receiver league, you can rock with Khalil Shakir. He's the one somewhat consistent and trustworthy member of the Bills receiving corps. That's about it. You're not playing Davis Mills. Maybe in Superflex you can fire him up, but that's about it. Buffalo's a tough matchup. They're a great matchup for opposing running backs, not so much for opposing tight ends. So I'm not playing Dalton Schultz. Dalton Kincaid is out. Dawson Knox is not on the streaming radar, not in this matchup. Tyrell Shavers will get some more opportunities tonight. It sounds like Keon Coleman will be benched for the second straight game. They didn't miss him last week. They scored 44 points without him. Why not keep going with the guys where that worked? Shavers was a contributor there. Nevertheless, he's too tough to trust on a short week. No pedigree, no track record to go off of. Josh Palmer, Gabe Davis will also see increased opportunities. No Keon Coleman. They're also without Curtis Samuel and Mecole Hardman, who was placed on injured reserve. I think they just signed him last week. He's now on IR just like that. It doesn't make it any easier trying to figure out which one of guys like Palmer, Davis, and Shavers are viable options. You're keeping all of them on the bench and or on waivers outright. And then same with all the wide receivers not named Nico Collins for Houston. We're not playing Jaden Higgins or Christian Kirk or Jalen Knoll. Those are the overarching thoughts for tonight's game. the most recent injury updates that we have as of today. Bucky Irving, Chris Godwin limited in practice back-to-back days. Tampa came out and said that when Bucky returns, he will not be given a bell cow workload right away. It wouldn't surprise me if he sat this game outright, and even if he does play, they're probably going to mix in Sean Tucker. They'll mix in Rachaad White on passing downs. Bucky should remain on benches this week, even if he does play outside of the most desperate situations. So if you are genuinely desperate at running back and Bucky Irving suits up, I guess you could go with him, but only if you're really desperate. He's going to be difficult to trust in his first game back, whenever that is. It might not even be this week. Josh Jacobs missed practice on Wednesday, but is participating in limited fashion today, or he did participate in limited fashion today. So Jacobs officially, it's not official yet. We got to keep an eye on things. But Jacobs is officially tracking to be potentially available for the Packers in Week 12 against the Minnesota Vikings. If you have Jacobs, hopefully you have Emmanuel Wilson, but he may not be needed for this week. All the same, obviously, let's keep a close eye out on that situation and Jacobs' potential availability. He might play this week. Someone who's not playing this week and not playing the rest of the season is Joe Mixon. No surprise there. His vibes were weird in the offseason. He had no timeline to return at the beginning of the season. There were no updates throughout the season, and now here we are. It's Week 12. Mixon's not going to play in 2025. Hopefully nobody was holding him outside of deep dynasty leagues. Jacob said worst case scenario is he misses one game. He's trying to play this week, but he definitely intends to play by Thanksgiving. The Packers, I believe, they play on Thanksgiving this year against the Detroit Lions, if I'm not mistaken. For the Steelers, Aaron Rodgers, Jaylen Warren, both limited in practice on Thursday. Jaylen Warren exited last week's game early, could have potentially came back in that game, but the Steelers held him out. Being smart was the quote. Kenny Gainwell could be in line to get increased usage this week, but Warren practicing in a limited manner bodes well for his potential availability to play. Jackson Dart, back-to-back limited practices as he works through concussion protocol. He is on track to return for the Giants against the Detroit Lions this week. And he may get Darius Slayton back, who missed last week as well, but he was limited in practice on Thursday with a hamstring injury. We will see. Isaiah Pacheco, limited practice for the second straight day on Thursday. He could be tracking toward a return for Kansas City against Indianapolis. Probably need to leave him out of lineups. Joe Burrow, fully practicing for the second straight day this week. Burrow is all of a sudden... we were initially looking at Burrow potentially returning Week 14. He now looks like he is in good shape to play this week, which is a bit of a surprise. I guess he attacked the rehab super hard, and now Burrow is potentially going to be available for Cincinnati against New England in Week 12. It will be incredibly difficult to suggest Joe Burrow in one quarterback leagues this week. If you have him in Superflex and he becomes available, then by all means, fire him up. But in one quarterback leagues, he's probably going to be tough to trust. First game back, beat his timeline to return, which is awesome, but that could also mean he's less than 100%. Tough matchup against New England, and he's not going to have Jamar Chase, who is suspended for this game. So I can't possibly advocate for Burrow in one quarterback leagues. However, his fast-tracked return is a welcome sight. Ramondre Stevenson will limited in practice for the second straight day this week. Ramondre should be returning for the Patriots against Cincinnati. It will be very interesting to see how that backfield shakes out and what the backfield breakdown is between Ramondre Stevenson and TreVeyon Henderson, who has looked incredible the past 3 games without Ramondre. You have to start TreVeyon Henderson even with Ramondre returning. It is a spectacular matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals, and Henderson looks incredible right now. I don't know how you move away from him even with Ramondre returning. The Patriots have been stubborn about Ramondre this year. they continue to go back to him despite a lackluster performance and continued ball security issues. I really don't know how that happens after Henderson's what he's done the past couple of weeks. So we'll see how that shakes out. If you have Henderson, I would not be shy. I would not hesitate. Play him, especially given the matchup. Kayshon Boutte fully practices again on Thursday. We'll see what the Patriots wide receiver rotation looks like with him returning behind Stephon Diggs. Trey Benson limited in practice on Thursday. It remains to be seen if he will be activated off injured reserve for Arizona. But, his practice status this week is a positive sign. Benson, I guess, would be an RB3 in his return. He has not played for some time. The Jaguars are banged up. Brian Thomas, Brenton Strange, Bishal Tootin all limited in practice on Thursday. At this point, if you have better alternate options to Brian Thomas, I am fine leaving him on your bench. Tootin is interesting. If he's able to play, he got a lot of work last week. I'd be curious to see, has he forced more opportunities for himself in the Jaguars offense alongside Travis Etienne. You can play Travis Etienne. You may be able to play Tootin in deeper leagues if you're desperate at running back, either because of injuries or bye weeks. We'll see how that shakes out. David Njoku not practicing for the second straight day this week, so Harold Fannin is looking good to get tight end one opportunities for the Browns. However, he could be held back by Shedeur Sanders making his first career start. The Raiders defense is not a bunch of world beaters, but Shedeur is a third-string quarterback getting an opportunity for his first career start. We'll see how that goes. Perhaps he relies on Fannin as a big security blanket, big target. But it'll be difficult to trust Fannin, even without Njoku playing this week, which looks likely after he missed back-to-back practices to start the week. All right, those are the big injury updates that we have. I can start taking questions. Let me get into my spiel. Appreciate everybody coming in and hanging out this afternoon or early evening, depending on where you are. Maybe it's nighttime if you're in Europe. Well, it is nighttime. It's just a matter of where you are. If you've been here before, welcome back. If you are here for the first time, welcome in. Hopefully this, it's intriguing enough for you to maybe stick around. Members will get first priority in responses to their questions and comments. That is a perk of being a member of the channel. It does not matter when members ask questions. It could come after your question as a non-member. Member questions will get answered first. You can find more details about becoming a member in the first link in the description of this live stream and all videos and streams on the channel. If you send a super, if you're feeling generous enough to send a super or a gift, that would be another way to jump the line and get your question answered in priority order. You may get a little bit more out of me as far as context, thought process, analysis of your question if it warrants it, if you are a member or a super, or send a super. If you are not a member and you do not send a super, I will answer your question, but I do ask for some patience. I have to get to the member questions and the supers first. That comes with the territory. That comes with the perks. Whether or not you are a member, if you are enjoying the stream, the conversation, if you could just like the stream, that helps me out for algorithm purposes. Appreciate it in advance. Let's see. Members also get shout-outs. I see Crumbly Heads. I see Sport Dog. I see E111. And I see Nino. What's going on, everybody? Thanks for popping in. And everybody, let's get into it. Dotson, Hopkins, or Kirk. You're telling me that's a deep league. Dotson gets Dallas, so it's a great matchup. It's just he's a wide receiver 3 for a not very good passing offense right now. Hopkins' usage is kind of off the radar, but I guess he has an expanded opportunity if Rashad Bateman doesn't play, which I think is what we're looking at here. Christian Kirk is a shell of himself. It's not a bad matchup. I just don't trust him. Hopkins, Crumply Heads, because at least he's got Lamar throwing him the ball. Dotson has Jalen Hurts, but again, he's the wide receiver 3, and the passing offense isn't good right now. And Christian Kirk, no thanks. I'll take the chance on Hopkins against the Jets with no Rashad Bateman. Michael Wilson or A.J. Brown, though, man, how the mighty have fallen. This is a legitimate, valid question. To go, the question is A.J. Brown or Michael Wilson. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I may actually say Michael Wilson. I don't know that he's going to catch 15 passes again, but it's a great matchup. He's at home. Once again, no Marvin Harrison. I think I would go Michael Wilson. A.J. Brown is obviously the more talented player. Nobody is disputing that. But the Eagles' offense hasn't been good. They are without Lane Johnson for the foreseeable future. He is a major part of their success over the course of his career. The proof is in the pudding. They struggle on offense when he doesn't play. And, AJ's out there. It looks like he's kind of half-assing his routes half the time. He wants the ball, no doubt, but he looks like he's giving up, a chunk of the time out there. I don't trust him right now. It's like fool me once, fool me twice, fool me 11 different times. At what point do we say enough is enough? I think we might be at that point until we see something more. The matchup is great, but the situation stinks. I'll take Michael Wilson. That's insane, but that's where we're at. That's where we're at. Let's see. If Warren doesn't play, would I use Jones or Shakir? I'll use Aaron Jones. We don't know if Warren's going to play, Sport Dog, until later this week. We just don't know. So, do you want to risk Shakir tonight in a tougher matchup? That's the question. And I don't know that I necessarily want to do that. I'll hold out. I'll hold out for Aaron Jones. It's a revenge game for him against the Packers. I know he had one of those last year, but he gets another one. He's looked okay. The Vikings offense is really bad right now, mostly because J.J. McCarthy kind of looks overmatched, overwhelmed. But Jones, he should have a decent floor in spite of that. He proved it last week that he can still do it, and he's getting most of the work from the Vikings backfield over Jordan Mason. I will wait for Aaron Jones, and I'll let Shakir play tonight on my bench because I want to play the running back, depending on who's available. Standard scoring dynasty. Would I drop Caleb Johnson for Wilson? Is that Michael Wilson? Sure. I mean, obviously in Dynasty, Caleb Johnson still has plenty of value, but, well, he should have some value. Right now, he has very little. And if you need somebody this week, Michael Wilson is a much, much easier call to put into your starting lineup than Caleb Johnson. Again, Dynasty makes this a conversation. Obviously, in redraft, Caleb Johnson has no value, but in Dynasty, he still has value. So, I want to be cautious getting rid of interesting rookies, even if they don't have any appeal right now. That being said, we do still play in the here and now, even for Dynasty. And if you're a contender, E111, if you are looking to compete for a championship, Michael Wilson increases your odds of winning this week significantly more than Caleb Johnson does. So if you need Michael Wilson, you need a start this week, and he is certainly viable, then that's where I would go. If it's Emmanuel Wilson, that might be helpful context here. If it's Emmanuel Wilson, then maybe not, because Jacobs returned to practice today. So Emmanuel Wilson might be looking at his normal, usual, typical usage and role if Jacobs is able to play. So I guess it depends on which Wilson we're talking about here. The Packers RB? Okay. No. Not yet, anyway. Not until we know Jacob's status. If it were Michael Wilson, I would be more bullish on picking him up. But if it's Emmanuel Wilson, no. Unless you have Jacobs. I assume you don't because you didn't call it out. So since you have Gainwell, actually, keep Caleb Johnson. Unless Jacobs gets ruled out, then fine, you can make the move. Nino, ugly one. Let's do it. 1 wide receiver, 2 flex. Myers, Higgins, Tez, Algier, Hunt, Pacheco. I would play Jacoby. I would probably play Tez. A little bit better matchup for Tez this week on Sunday night against the Rams. No weather to worry about versus his, compared to his matchup against the Bills this past week. I don't trust Algier because I don't trust the Falcons' offense with Kirk Cousins. And then Pacheco and Hunt make things incredibly murky as far as like how much do I trust them. I would probably lean if Pacheco plays. I would probably play Pacheco. Here's what I would do. I would play Jacoby. Decent matchup against the Cardinals. I mean, the Jacksonville's going to have to throw anyway on the road. I'll play Jacoby Myers. I will play Pacheco if he plays, and if Pacheco's ruled out, then you can play Hunt, and I would play Tez Johnson on Sunday Night Football. Once again, the Bucs are without Mike Evans. They're without Chris Godwin. Well, they're probably without Chris Godwin. And even if Chris Godwin plays, he hasn't played in some time. So I wouldn't trust that he has a significant role. I would imagine Tez Johnson works ahead of Chris Godwin for at least this week, and that's even if Godwin's able to play. Could be a shootout in LA. 2 good offenses. The Bucs have lost 2 straight games. I think they're gonna scratch and claw to keep this game close against a very good Rams team. I'll take Tez Johnson, Jacoby Myers, and the Chiefs' starting running back, whoever that is. Pacheco if he plays, Hunt if Pacheco's ruled out. That's where I'm going. Let's see. The Judkins, Chuba's not helpful right now. Pacheco could be helpful coming back. Gainwell could be helpful this week. And then, some backups and banged up guys. If you could trade for McCaffrey, then of course, by all means, do it. Just be aware with McCaffrey in Dynasty, we're a lot closer to the end than we are to the beginning. And I'm sure you're well aware of that. But McCaffrey is going to accumulate the most, he's going to accumulate 400-plus touches this year. He might approach the 450 to 500 range if the 49ers have any type of playoff run. We could see a drop-off next year with him turning 30 and such a significant workload year over year. We've seen McCaffrey in years following massive workloads, crash back to earth in an ugly way. So I would just caution, if you do trade for McCaffrey in Dynasty, I would hope you are already the number 1 team and you're putting yourself over the top for a championship run. That would be the only thing. I see Greg joined. What's going on, Greg? Thanks for popping in. Again, for anybody just joining, member questions, get first response, first priority. I will get to everybody. I see your questions, but one of the perks of being a member of the channel, questions responded to out of order. More details, first link in the description of this live stream. Fair to not trust Woody, even though it is a good matchup and he does have the backfield to himself moving forward. That appears to be the case anyway. Well, again, we all know McCaffrey doesn't have to be included in these questions. Nico doesn't need to be included in these questions. I would rank them as how many can you play? I don't know how many you can play. I would probably play Woody over Aaron Jones. Actually, no, I would play Aaron Jones over Woody because it's a revenge game for Aaron Jones. That's why. I would play Aaron Jones over Woody. That's about it. That's all I have, though. Nico, Michael Wilson, you're playing those 2. And then McCaffrey and Aaron Jones. And then if you have a flex, I would probably say Woody. Yeah. McCaffrey, Woody, Aaron Jones, Nico, Michael Wilson. That's where I would go. I would play Woody tonight. I would play Woody over Sean Tucker, who looks good, but I like the matchup for Woody, and Bucky could return this week. We don't know for sure that he's been ruled out, so since Woody plays tonight, you might as well go with him. And nobody else on waivers moves the needle for me. I would drop Parker Washington for probably Tyrone Tracy just to give yourself some more running back depth. I would be okay with that move, but I'm not starting either one. Would I run with Mark? Yeah, no, I would run. I just so you, Sport Dog, you and Greg have the same question. I would slightly lean Aaron Jones over Woody Marks. Not just the revenge game, but the pedigree, the track record. Aaron Jones is a much more proven player than Woody Marks. It is a good matchup for Woody Marks tonight. Neither is in a great offense. So I'll lean the veteran who I've seen do it before at a high level consistently. And again, he's playing his old team. I'll take that little X factor as enough to push Jones ahead of Marks for me on my, if I ranking running backs this week. It's close. But I would take Aaron Jones over Woody Marks. What's going on, Kevin? Good to see you. And those are all the member questions that I see right now. Always appreciate the members popping in. Let me know if you guys need anything else, but for now, we'll move back up to the top of the chat. Pitts or Barner this week? I don't like Pitts at all, but I guess I will say Pitts. No Drake London. It's a decent enough matchup against the Saints. Pitts should get 9 to 10 targets from Kirk Cousins. Again, I do not trust the Falcons' offense at all. Barner should be fine. But the Seahawks may not need to throw the ball that much against a bad Titans team. It could be them running all game. Not that they can run the ball very well, but it is a great matchup by the numbers for the run game. I'll take Pitts. I think he's of more necessity for the Falcons passing game than Barner is for the Seahawks. I don't love it. I really don't, but I'll say Pitts. And then Achane, Bucky, Charbonnet, Pollard. Start Marks tonight. Because we don't know if Bucky's going to play. Kenneth Walker got pretty good opportunities last week at the expense of Zach Charbonnet. So I don't really trust him right now. Yeah, 11 carries, 37 yards. Gross. Play Woody tonight, and we'll figure out. Play Woody tonight. We'll figure the rest out later in the week. And for everybody, before I forget, if you play Woody Marks tonight, if you play anybody tonight, put them in a position spot in your starting lineup. Do not leave them in your flex. If you have Woody Marks, move him to a running back spot. You can put any of your running backs in the flex that are playing on Sunday or Monday. Maximize your flexibility for the rest of the week. We don't know what injuries are going to pop up. We don't know who could be ruled out still. We don't know who may be added to the injury report, knock on wood. We see late week, midweek injury additions all the time. Maximize your flexibility. Keep your options open in the event that you need them. If you play Woody Marks, if you play Khalil Shakir tonight, move them into their position spots. Running back or wide receiver, don't leave them in the flex. I see some questions from Kevin, and a couple more member questions down here. Thoughts on Jacobs as a flex play this week? We'll see. I mean, he missed practice yesterday. He practiced today. He said it himself. If he misses any time, he plans to only miss one game max, which would be this week. He intends to come back for the Packers Thanksgiving game against the Lions. We have to, obviously, if Josh Jacobs plays, if Josh Jacobs is active, Josh Jacobs is in your starting lineup. We just don't know his availability yet. Tomorrow's practice will be telling, and then, of course, we'll probably get an injury designation on Saturday of questionable. I would expect he's a game-time decision. Have backup plans ready if you have Josh Jacobs, but if you have Josh Jacobs, you're playing him if he's active. So just have if you don't have Emmanuel Wilson, have another backup plan ready to go. That's for anybody who has Jacobs. Let's see. Okay, the rest of your squad, good quarterbacks, good wide receivers, and then your running back collection. You have Bowers, so that's good. Okay, yeah, I mean, McCaffrey would put you over the top. I guess you're going to have to give up some combination of young picks or young players and picks. Just keep in mind, again, McCaffrey's shelf life for Dynasty is probably wearing thin. He's 29 years old. There's a lot of wear and tear, a lot of tread on the tires, a lot of, a lengthy injury history. And now we're looking at like a 450-plus touch campaign that he's on pace for the 49ers this year. They are running him into the ground. He can win you a championship this year. Just keep in mind, these next couple of years, they could be volatile. They could be volatile for McCaffrey. Okay, I have my spot in line. What's going on with Bucky? Yeah, we don't know. I mean, he's missing a lot of time. The coaching staff is talking about how he's probably not going to be an every down player when he comes back. That makes sense. We haven't seen him since like week 4. It's been 2 months since we've seen Bucky Irving. It's probably going to be, from the point that he returns, it's probably going to be at least 1 week before we can trust him. And I don't think we can trust him this week. I mean, I would probably plan to play between like Sean Tucker and Wandale. I would probably play Wandale. Montgomery is in a good matchup in half PPR. That's actually not bad. I would probably play Wandale. The Giants are double-digit underdogs to Detroit in Detroit this week. They're going to throw the ball a ton. I would probably plan to play Wandale. As far as Fairbairn being back at kicker, it's fine to want to go with him, but if you have Chase McLaughlin, I would probably just stick with McLaughlin. Fairbairn is good, but it's his first game back from a hamstring injury, and I think he's missed a couple of weeks. Let's let him get through a game unscathed before we pick him up. If somebody else grabs him, so be it. I kind of want to proceed with caution here. Like, look, if you missed on Chase McLaughlin and you're still sitting on Eddie Pinheiro, who's going to miss time, then fine, pick up Fairbairn if he's out there. But I think I would just wait. I would wait a week if you don't. If you have a stud kicker and Chase McLaughlin qualifies, let's wait a week on Kaimi Fairbairn. If he does well tonight, great. Let's see him get through the hamstring injury first before we commit. And if you pick up Burrow, I mean, since you already have Mahomes and Goff, I don't feel the need to pick up Burrow unless your running backs are loaded. If you have Taylor, if you have Gibbs, if you have Judkins, if you grabbed Rico Dowdle, you have Travion Henderson. Like, if you've got a great collection of running backs, sure, fine. But if you don't, you already have Mahomes and Goff. Obviously, Burrow is super enticing, but he may not be, Joe freaking Burrow for a couple of weeks. He's missed a lot of time. He could be playing at less than 100% if he goes. He's not going to have Jamar Chase this week, so temper expectations on top of all of that. I would only do it if you run 4 or 5 deep at running back, and they're all, really good options. Okay, back up to my spot in line. Trade James Cook for Aaron Jones and Ladd McConkey. Probably not. I mean, Ladd Ladd is a low-end wide receiver 1, so that's enticing. Aaron Jones is probably on the RB2, RB3 radar, like border. Low-end RB2, high-end RB3. Cook is probably a top 7 or 8 running back rest of season. I don't think so. I don't think I would do this. McConkey is interesting. I do have high expectations for McConkey rest of the way. And I know James Cook doesn't have a great schedule rest of the way, but he's on a good offense. He's a top 7 or 8 running back rest of the way. Those are hard to replace. Yes, he's a little up and down because Josh Allen vultures touchdowns, but he's still a top 7 running back, top 7 or 8 running back rest of the way. It's really hard to replicate and reproduce that production after you trade them away. I think I would just stay put. You have JT, you have Henry, you have Woody, you have Montgomery. Oh, and you have Harvey's available? I would probably drop Charbonnet for RJ Harvey. I know he's not playing this week, but you can get out ahead of it. It's not going to cost you any fab. J.K. Dobbins is not walking through the door. I know Harvey didn't have a great game in his first career start in a division game against a good Kansas City Chiefs defense, but more opportunities will come for Harvey, and I think the bye week will do him some good to get himself prepared to be the guy the rest of the way and for the team to prepare him to be the guy for the rest of the way. Yeah, Harvey is a more intriguing stash for me than Burrow when you have Mahomes and Goff already. I would drop Charbonnet for RJ Harvey. Yes, I would do that. Or hell, you could drop Goff and just rock with Mahomes. You can even drop Goff and rock with Mahomes the rest of the way, to be honest. Take your pick. If you really want to have 2 quarterbacks, fine. Maximize your running back depth. I'd be a little bit more open to that. But if you want to keep 2 quarterbacks and drop Charbonnet, I'm okay with that. Because you have Taylor and Henry to carry you. Oh, you have a positional max. Interesting. Okay, drop Charbonnet. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with dropping Charbonnet to pick up Harvey. I'm okay with that. Let's see. I got the super question, or the member questions. I got the James Cook trade question. I would not do that. Jacoby, Purdy, or Caleb this week. That's an interesting one. Jacoby has been awesome and is in a good matchup. Caleb has been really good and is in a good matchup. And Purdy bounced back nicely last week and is in a good matchup. I might go Jacoby Brissett. Did I say Jacoby Myers? I obviously meant Brissett if I did. Or maybe I'm just misremembering. I would go Jacoby Brissett. I mean, he's looked awesome. He's been a top 10 quarterback 3 straight weeks and 4 out of his 5 starts in general. Great matchup at home against Jacksonville. I might go Brissett. They're all good options. Unfortunately, you're probably going to have some good quarterback performances on your bench. But I might go Jacoby. It's such a good matchup against Jacksonville, and he's looked great. Jacoby has been awesome. And their running game is still a mess, so they have to throw the ball. Yeah. I got the James Cook trade question. I would not do it. You were offered Judkins and Diggs for Dowdle. You have Dowdle, you have Jacobs, you have Saquon, you have Henderson, you have Nico, Sutton, Debo, Marv. So Sutton's on bye, Debo's on bye, Marv is hurt. Well, he had an appendectomy. He should be back in another week or two, but still, wide receivers hurting a little bit for you. You could turn Dowdle into Judkins and Diggs, who has looked really good. That's a tough pill to swallow. because Dowdle has looked excellent. That being said, because you're hurting a little bit at wide receiver, I would be, and you have Saquon and Josh Jacobs to get you through, and you would still be getting a good running back in return in Judkins. I think I'm okay with this if you want to do it. I think I'm okay with that trade. It sucks to give up Dowdle, who I do think is the most valuable piece in this trade, but your running back depth is good. You're getting a running back in Judkins in return, and you're getting a guy in Diggs who has looked better and better as the season has gone on and helps you immediately at a position of need. I think I'm okay with this trade. I think I'm okay with doing that deal. I would give up Dowdle for Judkins and Diggs if my wide receiver room was hurting a little bit. Yeah, I mean, will he, go away into oblivion? I don't know. What I do know is Jacoby Brissett is elevating that passing game in a big way right now, and he may keep all these guys viable. The Cardinals don't run the ball very well, and they're not a good team, so they're probably going to be chucking it more often than not. So Wilson could retain wide receiver 3 flex value rest of the way. I think he averages like 50 yards a game. Before last week, he averaged like 30 to 40 more yards receiving per game with Jacoby than with Kyler. Obviously, that's a small sample size, but Kyler has proven he's not... we can't trust him to do this at a high level and support multiple fantasy-relevant wide receivers, weapons in general. Brissett, so far, has been doing just fine in that department. So, he's definitely a hold for at least a couple of weeks when Marv comes back, Michael Wilson. He's in a good spot right there. I don't think there's any, will he be a wide receiver 1? No. Will he be a wide receiver 2? Probably not. He'll have some value, though. Drake May or Lamar Jackson? I mean, Drake May looks like the best quarterback in football right now. Lamar has a good matchup against the Jets. May has a better one against Cincinnati and has looked so good. Drake May looks like the best quarterback in the NFL right now. If you want to say top 3 or 5, fine. But, May looks amazing. I think you have to play Drake May over... I might play Drake May over every quarterback right now other than, Josh Allen. May. And as far as Caleb or Jacoby, got a similar question earlier. I think I would go Jacoby. They're both in good matchups. I expect them both to do well. But Jacoby has been a top 10 quarterback in 4 of his past 5 games. And I think in that 5th game, he was still top 15. He's been on fire, even without Marvin Harrison. He's at home. He's in a great matchup against Jacksonville, and they can't run it. Jacoby. I'm playing Jacoby. Thoughts on Kamara? He's an low-end RB2, high-end RB3 for the rest of the season. I mean, he's just in a horrendous situation. This is a good matchup this week. Atlanta's defense is not that good. They're down. The Falcons are down their starting quarterback and their best wide receiver. Even the Saints could potentially create short fields for their offense against Kirk Cousins. Kamara's an RB3. He's an RB3 at home in a decent matchup against a team that he is very familiar with. He has played twice a year for his entire career. So, if there was any week to give Kamara a small bump, a little boost, I guess it would be this week. I don't trust the Saints offense. I'm not going to for the rest of the season in all likelihood. Against Tyler Shuck, strings together some good performances for like a month straight. They're just really, really tough to trust right now. Kamara's an RB3, maybe with a little bit of optimism because of the matchup. And then Aaron Jones, Woody Marks, or Tracy. I would bench Tracy. I would play Aaron Jones. I would play Aaron Jones, and I would play Woody Marks. Tracy had a nice game last week, but he's in a brutal matchup this week against the Lions. That's about as tough as it gets for opposing running backs, is the Lions' defense. I would play Aaron Jones in a revenge game against the Packers, and I would play Woody Marks tonight in a good matchup against Buffalo. Tootin or Spears this week. Now we're talking. I kind of like Tootin, as long as he shakes the ankle injury. As long as he shakes the ankle injury. If he's healthy, it's not a great matchup by the numbers, but Tootin looked good last week. He had 15 carries. Now, yes, Jacksonville blew out the Chargers last week, so they were able to get a lot of work to all their running backs. Maybe that doesn't happen again this week, and Travis Etienne remains more involved and is the primary 1A out of the backfield. But Tootin looked good last week, and Jacksonville's offense is better than Tennessee's. They may not be world beaters, but the Titans are probably the worst offense in football right now. It's too hard to get behind. I think Spears had like 5 catches last week. He's explosive. He's a dynamic playmaker. He is held back by how abysmal the Titans' offense is. I would play Tootin if he's healthy. I would play Tootin. I would roll the dice on him. Tootin doesn't catch the ball. Spears does, so that gives him a little bit of love in full PPR. But again, I'll just take the fact that Tootin looked good last week and Jacksonville's offense is better than Tennessee's, and that's what it comes down to. Fairbairn or stick with McLaughlin? Yeah, so one of my members, and I see a couple folks joining in on Twitch. Appreciate that. Welcome to all my Twitch viewers, followers. I am available on Twitch for anybody who wants to stream over there. It's at facemask_fantasy. There's an underscore in between the two words. You can follow me on Twitch over there. I am now regularly simul-streaming over there. So welcome in anybody who's watching on Twitch. So I had the same exact question from one of my members. I'm just going to, if I have Chase McLaughlin, I'm just going to play Chase McLaughlin in what could be a shootout against the Rams. Fairbairn is very good, and he hits big field goals. He hits long field goals. I'm going to give it a week if I have Chase McLaughlin. If you're coming off of like, oh, I had Eddie Pinheiro and I haven't picked up a kicker yet, fine. Pick up Fairbairn tonight and play him. But if I have a guy that I believe in as a set-and-forget dude most weeks in Chase McLaughlin, I'm just going to rock with McLaughlin. Let's see Fairbairn get through a week unscathed, having coming off of a hamstring injury that I think he missed 2 games, right? Didn't Fairbairn miss the past 2 games? It's not like it was a 1-week absence. I think it was a multi-week absence. Wasn't it? I would wait a week on Fairbairn if I have, Brandon Aubrey, Chase McLaughlin, Tyler Loop. But if you have, if you're still waiting on, who do I replace Eddie Pinheiro with, then you can go Fairbairn. Fairbairn missed 2 games. Yeah, I'm going to wait a week on him. I'm going to wait. And the Rams, look, yes, the Rams look really good, but the Bucs are good too, and they've lost 2 straight games. They're going to come into this game desperate. I think they're going to keep it close. I think they're going to play with some pride to try to stop their losing streak. That doesn't mean that they're going to win, but I don't think they're going to just roll over and die, even though the Rams on paper look like the better team. I think the Bucs are going to battle in this game. I think it'll be close, and I think field goals will be kicked. Never underestimate a good team who happens to be on a losing streak. Those teams are more likely to right the ship than bad teams. Duh. That's what makes them good. Woody Igbuka. No, you're not sitting Igbuka. You're playing Igbuka. I'm holding out for Emeka Egbuka. He is awesome. I do not care about what happened last week. He is getting 10 to 12 targets a game, and this could be a shootout against the LA Rams. No weather issues. Last week, the weather was a problem. 20-plus mile-per-hour winds will do that. Egbuka is still a stud. He's a top 10 wide receiver on the season. I am going back to him in this matchup where a desperate Bucs team is trying to right the ship and get in the win column against a playoff potential opponent in the LA Rams. I am holding out for Emeka Egbuka. Did we get any updates about his? I know he missed practice yesterday because of the he got sick, or he had an illness. Chris Godwin fully practiced today. Bucky Irving was limited. That's interesting. I still wouldn't put too much stock in Chris Godwin for at least 1 week. I don't see anything about Emeka Egbuka today. Let me see if there's any update. You're playing Egbuka over DeAndre Swift and Woody Marks. You just are. You just are. Egbuka. No new update. Okay. I'm not worried about it yet, and obviously missed practice of any kind sucks. But an illness is not the same as an actual injury. He has a couple days to rest up, get right, get healthy, drink his fluids, get off his feet, get some rest, get ready for this game. I am playing Emeka Egbuka over guys like DeAndre Swift and Woody Marks. Sit one, Cook, Barkley, Henry, Kyren. That's crazy. You're not sitting James Cook. Let's see. You're not you're not sitting James Cook. You're not sitting Henry against the Jets. And you're not sitting Saquon against the Cowboys. You're sitting Kyren. You're sitting Kyren. That's an excellent collection of running backs. It's unfortunate that you have to sit one, but you're sitting Kyren. You play Cook tonight, you play Barkley, you play Henry. Just making sure we're all square, we're all good. Start two, ETN, Swift, and Judkins. ETN is on the injury report, but so is Bishal Tootin against the Arizona Cardinals. Swift gets the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's a good matchup. Judkins gets the Raiders. And Shadur Sanders is going to start for Cleveland. I think that's enough for. I think that alone is enough for me to not play Judkins. I think I would play Swift. It's a good matchup against the Steelers. And I would plan to play ETN if he's healthy. And then you can pivot to Judkins if we get bad news on ETN. I might sit Judkins. I do not trust this Browns offense with Shedeur Sanders. I know the Raiders aren't good, but, man, I don't trust Shedeur. So, therefore, I don't trust anybody on the Browns, even somebody as good as Judkins. ETN and Swift. ETN and Swift. Tootin, Monangai, Ramondre. Okay. I think we need to wait on this question. We don't know Tootin's availability. We don't know Ramondre's availability. We do not know Benson's availability. Tootin is tracking to play, but it's not confirmed. Ramondre is tracking to play, but it's not confirmed. He's missed 3 games. Monangai, it's in a good matchup, but Monangai didn't look good last week. Brian Robinson is a Christian McCaffrey handcuff, and that's it. And Benson hasn't been activated off IR yet. I would encourage you to come back on Saturday on this question. I guess if everybody's healthy, I guess Tootin, because Benson and Ramondre have missed extended time. Tootin looked good last week, but we got to see. If he's ruled out, then we got to see who else is available. I would encourage you to come back on Saturday, and I will be live on Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern. For anybody who's available for last call, start, sit, help ahead of the Week 12 slate. Yeah. This is Yosivach. Yeah, Yosivach is flexible this week. Gonzalez will be on T. Higgins. Yosivach is flex worthy in 3 wide receiver leagues. Yes, leagues that start 3 wide receivers. Start Ferguson or Andrews? Probably Andrews. I mean, Andrews is on a little bit of a run, and Ferguson is way behind the pecking order of CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens for opportunities, and the Eagles' defense has been awesome. I'll take Andrews against the Jets. I'll take Andrews against the Jets. Andrews is volatile too, but probably no Rashad Bateman this week. And, again, Ferguson contends with 2 of the better receivers in football right now in Lamb and Pickens for opportunities, and it's just a brutal matchup this week. Brutal matchup this week. If Worthy can't go, do you start Burden? Well, I'd probably rather play Burden than Lockett. Lockett is old, and the Raiders stink. At least Burden has some upside. Burden has some upside as a rookie, getting more opportunities, more playing time in an ascending offense in Chicago. And it's a good matchup against Pittsburgh. I would probably plan to play Burden. If Worthy can't go. If Worthy can go, then I would probably play Worthy. But if Worthy can't go, then I would play Burden over Lockett for sure. Pierce, Yosivach, Hollins, Mooney, Burden, or Coker. Pierce. I'm pretty sure Pierce. Pierce looks awesome right now. Pierce has ascended. He has taken a step forward this year. He looks like a more complete receiver. He looks like he might be the best receiver Indianapolis has right now over Michael Pittman. Now, Daniel Jones, I think, was a midweek add to the injury report, so that sucks. We obviously need to see Daniel Jones healthy and ready to go. If it's Anthony Richardson, then we can't start anybody at wide receiver for the Colts. But assuming Daniel Jones is good to go, I would play Pierce. Let me see if there's any updates about Daniel Jones. calf issue. Okay. Well, obviously, we got to keep an eye on the status of Daniel Jones. If Daniel Jones can't play, then maybe Yosivas. I like Matt Collins, but Keishon Butte's coming back. Mooney might be okay, but I don't trust the Falcons' offense. I like Burden, but I think for 1 week, Yosivas is a little bit more reliable. I would play Pierce if Daniel Jones plays, and I would plan to play Yosivas if Daniel Jones is out. That's what I would do. Jacoby Brissett or Brock Purdy. I mean, both are good. You probably can't go wrong with either. I slightly lean Jacoby just because he's on a heater right now, even without Marvin Harrison. Jacoby's killing it. It's a great matchup for both guys. Jacoby against Arizona, Brock against Carolina. They're both good matchups. I'm fine with either one. I slightly lean Jacoby just because he's he's on like a 5-game heater right now. But truly, you could play either one of those guys, and you should be fine. Allen or May? Yeah, I mean, I can't sit Josh Allen, and he's the only guy. He's the only guy that I would probably definitively play over Drake May, but even then, Drake May looks like one of the best quarterbacks in football right now, and he's got a much better matchup against Cincinnati than Allen does tonight against Houston. If you have Drake May and you're nervous about the matchup tonight, I don't blame you if you want to pivot to May off of Allen and pivot to May. I would play Allen because he's Josh Allen. You have the luxury of pivoting to May in a much better matchup and situation, so I don't blame you if you want to go that route. I would play Allen. I know the situation stinks against Houston on a short week on the road, but it's Josh Allen. Let's see. A defense to start this week. Not the Falcons. Their defense isn't good, and neither is their offense right now. The Saints might actually be a decent stream against those Falcons. If that's like one of your best options, you could probably do worse than the Saints, which sounds crazy because the Saints defense is awful, but like of course I want to target Kirk Cousins. I guess on the other hand, of course, I think I want to target Tyler Shuck. Just don't trust the Falcons. I don't trust the Falcons right now. And I don't trust the Cardinals either against Jacksonville. Did the Raiders get scooped up? I assume the Raiders probably got scooped up, but if they're available, they're going to play Shedeur. The Raiders stink, but I have no faith in Shedeur Sanders. He's getting his first team practice reps of the entire year, dating back to the offseason. He's getting his first team reps this week. The head coach, the organization said as much. Oh, Shedeur didn't get any first team reps really throughout practice, throughout the offseason, throughout training camp, and now into the season. These are his first team reps that we know about. We're in week 12. He's a third-string quarterback. If the Raiders are available, I know they're not good, but I would play them. And if they're not available, I guess I don't really want to play Atlanta, but I guess I would go Atlanta against Tyler Shuck. Yeah. Just checking to see if there are any last-minute injury updates here to keep an eye on. What can you realistically expect from Brian Thomas once he comes back? Not much. He's a wide receiver 3 right now. I mean, he showed enough talent last year to have some type of hope that he can bounce back and have a nice end to the campaign, but he has been awful. He has come nowhere close to preseason expectations. Yeah, Travis Hunter's gone for the season, but they brought in Jacoby Myers. So it's not like Brian Thomas is guaranteed a 30% target share like he was getting from Mac Jones at the end of the season last year. Not much. He's a wide receiver 3. I don't know how much upside he has. It's been bad. He's been dropping the ball. He's not producing. He's not producing. He's a wide receiver 3 with a little bit of wide receiver 2 upside based on the talent that we saw on display last year. But the confidence level is a far cry from what it was in 2024. And then, Burrow is looking good to play this week against New England. If you already have Dart, let's just operate for now, right now, today, as if you're going to have Dart available for you against Detroit. Back-to-back limited practices puts him on track to clear concussion protocol and return for the Giants against the Lions. You already, if you already have Burrow, or maybe you don't have Burrow, but if you have Dart, plan to play Dart. We'll worry about a potential backup quarterback on Friday or Saturday when we definitively know Dart's status. If he clears concussion protocol, you don't need to worry about Love or Lawrence. You have Purdy. Could also pick up Lawrence. No, play Purdy. Purdy's better. It's a good matchup against Carolina. Presumably could be clear of the turf toe that was causing him all types of issues at the beginning of the season. Caused him to miss a significant amount of time. He got through last week's game unscathed by all accounts. I haven't seen him on the injury report this week, so that's a good sign. Play Purdy. Play Purdy against Carolina. Yeah, play Purdy. Do you replace Metcalf with Yossi Vosh or Parker Washington? No. No. I would play Metcalf. It's a decent enough matchup. If Aaron Rodgers plays, I know he's working through a wrist injury, but I think it's to his non-throwing hand, so that's good. Rodgers, he gets to play the Bears. He's got a long history against the Chicago Bears. This could be his last game against the Chicago Bears for his career. He's probably going to want to do as well as he possibly can against a beatable defense. Metcalf helps him get there. Those guys are not, just because Yossi Vosh has an expanded opportunity, it's not enough. And I know Metcalf has only just been okay. I'm not moving Yossi Vosh or Parker Washington ahead of Metcalf in my rankings. No, I would play Metcalf. This is a follow-up to James Cook for Ladd and Aaron Jones trade. You have Jacobs and Wilson, good. You have Benson, okay, fine. You have Tracy, okay. Charbonnet, okay. Amon-Ra, good. Pickens, good. Wandale, good. Sutton, okay. DK, okay. No, I would, again, I still say no, because you've got two studs in Amon-Ra and George Pickens. So while it would be nice to get Ladd McConkey, you'd be down to Jacobs, Aaron Jones, Benson. No, I would keep James Cook. I would keep James Cook. I think he boosts your floor and your ceiling. He makes your running back room significantly better. Ladd would be a nice upgrade over your other wide receivers, but, going from Cook to Aaron Jones with so many other question marks, Benson, Tracy, Charbonnet, I'd rather have a more sure thing at running back, and you have that in James Cook. I don't think I would do that deal. Let's see. I don't see any more member questions. I see some trolling, so let's get rid of that. Don't see any other member questions popping in. So let's keep it moving. Woody, Wilson, Pearsall, or Walker in the flex this week? I would just Walker. Walker actually looked good last week, but we don't know what that breakdown is going to be. If they're going to go with Walker, or if they're going to keep mixing in Charbonnet. I might go Woody. It's a good matchup against the Buffalo Bills. Emmanuel Wilson, we can't rock with yet, because it's looking like Josh Jacobs may play. It's not a guarantee, but he might play. Pearsall, we got to see it first. Didn't do anything last week. He missed a lot of time. Should bounce back okay in this game, but let's see it first. Walker, I do like this week. But Charbonnet is looming in a larger way than Nick Chubb does in Houston's backfield. And maybe we should see Walker string together a couple of back-to-back performances before we commit all the way back to him. I slightly lean Woody over Walker for this question. Slightly lean Woody. Starting Mills in the Superflex. Who are your other options, Crumply Heads? I mean, I'd rather not play Davis Mills, but if it's between him and, a wide receiver 3, then sure, play Davis Mills. Depends on who your other options are. But, I mean, that doesn't get me super excited. But he's viable in Superflex, but it doesn't really get me excited. Let's see. What else do we have? Yeah, I got the James Cook trade question. Kyler and a first for Rashee Rice. If you can pull it off, if you're getting Rashee Rice, I think I remember this from Discord. If you're getting Rashee Rice and you can pull this off, yes, do it. Kyler is probably a backup quarterback for the rest of his career. He has very little value. The first is nice. I would not accept this, even in Superflex, if I had Rashee Rice. I wouldn't be surprised if you had to ask or if you had to pay more. or no, or they didn't want Kyler. Kyler is again probably a backup quarterback for the rest of his career, with spot start opportunities depending on the situation that he goes to next if it's not in Arizona. And for fantasy, he's going to be a QB2. His ceiling is not high. He's not good. He's just not good. We gave him a long leash. We gave him a long rope. He hasn't gotten better. He hasn't improved. The vibes stink. They've already pretty much said they're not going to go back to him this year, even if he comes back healthy. And why would they? Jacoby Brissett, journeyman 33-year-old Jacoby Brissett, looks better than Kyler right now. I would not want Kyler. If you can get this deal done, excellent. Great. Take it and run. I would not accept that as if I had Rashee Rice and that was the offer that came to me, I would say no. So if you can pull it off, do it. Do you drop Burden for Quentin Johnston? No. Johnston's been quiet recently. Play Burden in a good matchup. See what he can do. See if he's worth hanging on to. I wouldn't worry about Quentin Johnston right now. And then Jawan or Dalton Schultz. Yeah, I'll play Jawan. Saints coming off their bye week. Nothing scary about the Falcons. It's actually not a good matchup tonight for Schultz. The Bills are good against the run. They are a good matchup against the run. You want to start a running back against the Buffalo Bills. Tight end is a different story. They're good against tight ends. I don't want to play Dalton Schultz tonight. I would play Jawan. And yeah, you're hoping if you picked up Wilson. First of all, if you picked up Wilson because you have Jacobs, well done. You're protecting yourself. If Jacobs plays, you got to play Jacobs. But if Jacobs is out, then obviously Wilson becomes an obvious start. If Jacobs is in, you're not playing Wilson. You are playing Jacobs, though. Let's see. I got some of these member questions. Appreciate the members, as always. Knox, Taysom Hill, or Strange this week? Oh, boy. God. Knox cannot be trusted at all. Taysom Hill can't be trusted at all. And Strange is, I guess, working his way back from injury. So could be interesting. But tough to trust. I guess you're hoping for a touchdown. I guess I'll play. I guess I'll play Knox, and you're just hoping. You're hoping for a touchdown. This is slim pickings for sure. Knox, I guess, because at least Kincaid is out. I'm not expecting much, but I'm not expecting really anything from any one of these three guys. Strange would be more interesting, but he's missed like a month of time. I don't expect much in his first game back. So I guess Knox. Tucker or Hollins? Tucker. There's more opportunities for Tucker in the Raiders' passing attack. He had a good game against the Cowboys. They play the Browns, tough matchup, but they don't have anybody else. The Patriots have a lot of wide receivers, and Kayshon Boutt's coming back. So I would play Trey Tucker. I would play Trey Tucker. And then Tez, Michael Wilson, Pearsall, Kittle, Bowers. Man. I mean, if your trade deadline is still active, trade one of those two tight ends. Get a running back or a wide receiver in return. But that being said, I would play Bowers and Kittle in your tight end and your flex. I don't like playing two tight ends, but you do have two of the top 5 guys rest of the way. So play Bowers and Kittle. And then I would play Tet and I would play Michael Wilson. Tez is an ancillary piece. Tet is a primary focal point of the Panthers' offense. Michael Wilson will be a focal point of the Cardinals' passing offense this week. And Pearsall, we need to see it before we go all the way back to him. He missed a lot of time. He didn't do anything last week. He should be fine this week. Now 2 weeks removed from returning from injury, but still didn't see much last week. Go with Tet, who had a huge game. We saw the ceiling, and we saw the ceiling for Michael Wilson. I would go back to those 2 wide receivers, and I would play those 2 tight ends. I would play Bowers and Kittle. Let's see. I appreciate everybody's patience as I work through these questions. I'm trying to move as swiftly as I can while still giving you guys a legitimate answer. Caleb, Darnold, Bryce Young. If you're leaning Bryce Young, I don't want to ever tell anybody to go away from your gut, but I would probably play Caleb. He's been a QB1 this year. It's a great matchup at home against Pittsburgh. They're giving up a lot of production to opposing passing games, quarterbacks and wide receivers alike. I like Darnold. It's a good spot against Tennessee. But Caleb feels a little bit safer at home versus Darnold on the road. And Bryce had a great game last week against Atlanta. Let's see if he can do it 2 in a row on the road before we go back to him. I would personally go Caleb. If your gut tells you Bryce and you believe in Bryce and you want to play Bryce, go with your gut. If you're not jiving, and I say this to people all the time, if I give you an answer and you don't like the answer, that's okay. If I tell you my thoughts, my answer, and you say to yourself, I disagree, I'm going with my guy, I'm going with what I believe in, do that. Go with what you believe in, always. It's okay for us to disagree. That's what makes this great. That's what makes this fun. If you believe in Bryce in your heart of hearts, play Bryce. But he hasn't been great for his career on the road. He had a great game on the road last week. He's got another road game back-to-back against San Francisco. And it's a good matchup by the numbers. Let's see if he can do it 2 games in a row, 2 road games in a row before I say, hell yeah, let's rock with Bryce Young, QB1. I'll go Caleb at home against Pittsburgh. That's my suggestion. Good matchup. Caleb's got a little bit better of a track record as far as QB1 performances this year. I'll take Caleb. But if your heart is telling you Bryce, your gut is telling you Bryce, go with your gut. That's for anybody. If my answer is something that you're like, I don't agree, I was kind of hoping you would say something else, go with your gut. Always go with your gut. If you feel something, follow it. If it's like an instinct or whatever, follow it. I'm just here to have a conversation with y'all. You have Lamar and Dart. Do you drop Dart for Burrow? No. Burrow. Obviously, Burrow's track record speaks for itself, but we need to see him and what he looks like post-injury. He's ahead of schedule, which is great, but does that mean he's 100%? That's not the same thing. Being ahead of schedule in your rehab and playing a football game sooner than expected are not necessarily the same. And Burrow, if he does play this week, is not going to have Jamar Chase. So what's he look like having missed a couple of months? I would play Dart. I would keep Dart. If you want to play Lamar, that's fine. I would keep Dart right now. Lamar or Drake, I think I already got that. I would play Drake May. There's only one quarterback I would play ahead of Drake May right now. That's how well Drake May is playing. The only quarterback I would play ahead of Drake May right now is Josh Allen. And you can even debate that Drake May is the top quarterback on the slate because of Allen's matchup tonight against Houston. Play Drake May. Start Marks over Judkins. I'm fine with it. Again, this is like we're talking. Go with your gut. This is what I'm talking about. Now I will tell you I am in lockstep with these thoughts. I got a bad feeling about Judkins because I have a bad feeling about Shedeur Sanders. Marks is in a good matchup at home against the Bills. I feel better about that. Is Judkins the better player? Obviously. Marks is not as good of a football player as Judkins, but he is in a much better situation. Which is crazy to say because it's not like Houston's offense is awesome. But I do not trust Shedeur Sanders. So, yeah, I would play Woody. I would play Woody over Judkins. I would play Woody over Judkins. Let's see. You have the Texans defense. They're usually great. Obviously, this is not a great matchup. Or you could pivot to the Raiders against Cleveland. And I'll stop there because I'm not going to play the Bills defense on the road, and I don't really want to play the Saints. I would probably play the Raiders. I would probably pivot to the Raiders. I don't want to drop the Texans. They've been really good. But I do not want to play them tonight against Josh Allen. They might be fine. They might be okay at home on a short week, but I don't know that I necessarily want to roll the dice on that when I can target the Raiders and play them against Shedeur Sanders, who I do not believe in. I would pick up the Raiders, but I'm not dropping Houston. I'm not dropping Houston, but I'm not playing them if the Raiders are available. I'll play Vegas against Shedeur Sanders. You traded Lamar and Monungai for Bucky and Rome? Yeah, that's a good deal. That's well done. You might not have Bucky this week. We don't know if Bucky's going to play. I would almost operate as if he's not going to play, because even if he does, we're not going to see him get a full workload. Not going to see him get a full workload. Pittman or Diggs? Diggs. Stephon Diggs. He gets the Bengals. He's performing like a wide receiver one. Drake May's performing like the best quarterback in the league. Pittman, I mean, he's coming off of Pittman's been good, but he's coming off a game where Alec Pierce outperformed him. The vibes on Alec Pierce right now are excellent. And also, for whatever it's worth, Daniel Jones is on the injury report with a calf injury. Hopefully it's nothing, but we don't know. Pittman has been, a wide receiver one on the season, but Diggs is honestly nipping at his heels. He got off to a slow start, but also, he was coming into the season having, recovered from an ACL injury last year. I mean, and the vibes are right now, like, is Pittman going to hold off Alec Pierce as their wide receiver one? I would go Diggs. Matchup is great, and the vibes on Drake May couldn't be higher. Couldn't be better. What's going on, Evan? Just seeing you popping in. Again, let me get the member questions first, but I do see everybody's questions. I will get to them in the next 30 minutes leading up to kickoff of Bills-Texans. I don't want to play. Is this one quarterback, Evan? I'm waiting for Dart. If Davis Mills is your alternative, I am waiting for Dart, and I will pick up another quarterback playing on Sunday if Dart can't go. I'm not playing Davis Mills tonight if Jackson Dart is my alternate option. I want to wait for Dart, even in Superflex. Okay, well, no, I want to hold out on Dart. If Dart didn't practice, then okay, fine, play Davis Mills. But I know this could be dicey. This could be tricky. But the fact that Dart practiced in a limited fashion yesterday and today puts him on track to return and clear concussion protocol. It's obviously risky because you've got Mills going tonight and you could play him. But I want to hold out for Dart. And the fact that he's limited practice back-to-back is a good sign for him to clear concussion protocol and return. Let me see if there are any new updates about Dart. Still limited on Thursday. Let's see. There was a chance he would gain clearance from protocol, but that didn't happen. He'll need to be cleared by an independent neurologist in order for him to play on Sunday. Man, I want to hold out for him. I do. I want to hold out for him. I guess it depends on your risk tolerance, Evan. I would hold out for him and hope for the best, and then I guess depending on your alternate options, if Dart can't go, if Dart can't go, and you don't play Mills, like what's your next best thing? That, I guess, would be what I would want to know. If it's nothing good, if it's like my depth isn't great, or I've guys hurt or on bye and I don't have a viable play, and you're worried about it, then okay, fine. You could go to Mills tonight. I would prefer to wait for Dart. I guess for me it comes down to what is your emergency option if you don't play Mills, wait for Dart, and Dart ultimately gets ruled out. Like, what is your emergency option? That's what I would want to know. I'm going to answer a couple of questions, Evan. In the meantime, let me know what your emergency option is, and we can decide ultimately what to do there. Do not pick up Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett, I don't trust the Raiders, and Lockett is old at this point. Just like that's all it comes down to. He may still have a little bit of juice in there. He had 3 catches for 33 yards against Dallas the week before. He had 6 for 44. Nah, there's too low of a ceiling. It's too low of a ceiling for the Raiders offense. Brian Thomas, Sean Tucker, or Charbonnet if Dart doesn't play. I mean, you could hold out that Bucky doesn't play and Sean Tucker is the starting running back for the Bucs on Sunday night. That is volatile. That is volatile. If you need a win, Evan, like if you're 6-5 or 5-6 and you're on the cusp of the playoff race and you're battling and you can't take any chances, then I would play Davis Mills tonight, I guess. If you're in good shape and a loss wouldn't kill you if you did wait for Dart and he didn't play and you had to start one of these other guys, but like you're still in good shape because of your record or your points, I would hold out for Dart. So I guess it depends on your situation. If you are needing to scratch and claw, then I guess you can play Davis Mills tonight because he's the sure thing. I don't feel great about it, but I would personally rather hold out for Dart. I would rather hold out for Dart and swing for the fences. That's just me. So it's a question of risk tolerance, I guess. How big of a roll of the dice do you want to take? I want to be optimistic about Dart and operate as if he's going to clear concussion protocol today, before Sunday. And the limited practices this week do give him that chance. So I would want to hold out for him. Yeah. You can play Mills in Superflex. You can. I just don't get excited about it. I'm not super excited about Mills. It is a tough matchup tonight. Tough matchup. Let's see. Trade question. You offered Saquon and Debo for Chase Brown and Rashee Rice. I mean, if you can get it, take it and run. I mean, I'd much rather have the Chase Brown, Rashee Rice side. Saquon is a great individual talent, but he is not putting up the numbers that he was last year, and the Eagles' offense has been struggling. Debo is old. The Commanders' offense stinks. I know he had a touchdown in Madrid against the Dolphins. I don't care. Rashee Rice is significantly better. I would honestly be surprised if you could get it done. I would be surprised if you can get it done. But if you can get it done and you acquire Chase Brown and Rashee Rice, I would say pat yourself on the back. If you can make it happen, I would be all over that. Higgins, Jennings, Pearsall, Spears, DJ Moore. Poof. The 49ers have a good matchup against the Panthers. Higgins is tough to trust. He's had some touchdowns this year, but he's tough to trust. Spears is tough to trust. He's a good player, but the Titans' offense stinks. And I don't really want to play DJ Moore either. I think I would play your 49ers. I think I would play your 49ers, Jennings and Pearsall. I like Jaden Higgins, but I like Higgins for Dynasty more so than like the randomness of his season this year. They are underdogs tonight. Houston is 6-point home underdogs. That's the last I checked. So they will be throwing. It's not a great matchup, and Nico could have a big night, or the production could go to Jalen Knoll or Dalton Schultz, even though it's not a good matchup for either one of them. I think I would play your 49ers, Jennings and Pearsall. I'll take the upside potential of Spears to catch some passes out of the backfield and maybe make a play or two. I don't trust DJ Moore, but I guess I'll take him in a good matchup against Pittsburgh. I think I would sit Jaden Higgins. And then really quick, let me get to the member questions. To protect him, I mean, Daboll got fired because the Giants have won like 5 or 6 games since their playoff run in 2022. Or maybe it's like 6 or 7. Daboll looks like he's a good play caller who was in over his head as a head coach. I don't know that I would pin any type of like concussion protocol handling on the head coach directly, I'm sure he had some involvement, but he got fired because the Giants they didn't win games under Daboll. Look at Daniel Jones. Like, I know, whatever. And I know he's in a better environment, but Daniel Jones looks like a good quarterback. He was a joke as a Giants quarterback, and as it turns out, that wasn't all his fault. And you could also, okay, fine. Roster construction, maybe not all on the head coach, but still, the job of the head coach is to put your players in the best position that they can to succeed, and I don't think Daboll did that. I think Daboll failed to do that. So that's why he got fired. If Dart clears concussion protocol, they will play him. They will play him. I want to believe that Dart will clear concussion protocol. Again, it comes down to your risk tolerance and what you think, like how much of a gamble can you take? And do I think Woody, I think Nick Chubb is in the twilight of his career. I think injuries have taken their toll. I think wear and tear and age at this point have taken their toll. Nick Chubb has 8 carries the past 2 weeks. I think they're rocking forward with Woody. I do not see Chubb working his way back into the mix unless it's out of necessity, which would mean something happened to Woody. Younger, fresher legs, gives them more juice now than Chubb does. I don't think they're going back to Chubb as anything more than satellite option, giving Woody a break here and there, giving him some opportunities to catch his breath, and Chubb can handle 5 to 7 opportunities per game to spell him. I think that's what Chubb is at this point. Chubb is one of the best pure running backs I've ever seen. But he has suffered multiple major injuries in his career. And I think we're at the end, unfortunately. Chubb has had a stellar, spectacular career. He's getting 8 carries in 2 games combined with Woody Marks as his running mate. I think the writing's on the wall. And as far as Nico's stats, I mean, it's a very small sample size with Mills. There's no doubt Stroud has struggled recently. He has not looked good dating back to last year. Maybe it's a Stroud problem. If Davis Mills balls out tonight in a tough matchup against the Buffalo Bills, it might be C.J. Stroud. The problem is he is still young, and they're probably not going to go away from him once he's healthy. But Davis Mills is making an interesting argument right now that maybe it is C.J. Stroud. The sample size is too small to make any definitive calls, but tonight's game should be interesting from that perspective, from that viewpoint. Charbonnet, Pollard, or Shavers, pick one. I mean, Charbonnet, he's still probably going to get goal line opportunities. Shavers, I don't trust Shavers as in a spot start against the Houston Texans. I guess Pollard. I don't really want to play Pollard, but I don't trust Charbonnet after an 11-carry, 37-yard performance. He's been so inefficient this year. He's just been coming through because he has been getting goal line opportunities, Charbonnet has. But Walker got an expanded role last week. Pollard, last few games, Tony Pollard, the last time Tony Pollard was a top 20 running back was week 5. All right, I'll go Charbonnet for this question, actually. I'm not expecting a ton for Charbonnet, but maybe he gets on the goal line and falls into the end zone and can pad his stats a little bit around that and get you to 10 half PPR points. And it's a better offense, Seattle's is, than Tennessee, so I'll go with that as well. I'll say Charbonnet. And then, do you trade Ja'Cory, Krosky, Merritt, and a first-round pick for one of those wide receivers? I mean, look. Yes, if you can. If you can. Ja'Cory, Krosky, Merritt is an RB5 right now, at best. I mean, if somebody offered me, if I had Rashee Rice, honestly, with Marvin Harrison, I would turn that trade down as well. If you can make it happen where you trade an RB5 and Ja'Cory, Krosky, Merritt and a first-round pick for Rashee Rice, that's highway robbery. Rashee Rice is a dynasty wide receiver 1. Ja'Cory, Krosky, Merritt is a dynasty running back 5 or 6. If you can pull it off, by all means, do it. I would be stunned if you could, though. And I would even say the same for Marvin Harrison. No, Marvin Harrison is not a dynasty wide receiver 1, but I do think he's a dynasty wide receiver 2. Maybe kind of a boring dynasty wide receiver 2, but he's a dynasty wide receiver 2. Ja'Cory, Krosky, Merritt is a dynasty RB 5 or 6. I would not. That's not a needle mover for me to get a first-round pick in the trade for either one. I wouldn't accept that offer, but if you can get it done, then by all means, make it happen. If Bucky can't... Yeah, I mean... Probably Trey Tucker, but let's see. Let's see what updates we get for Bucky this week. I think tomorrow's will be telling. We might get a game status tomorrow for Bucky. We have to see. Before we make any definitive calls. And there's no updates on London. He's going to miss this week. Kirk Cousins is in at quarterback. Michael Penix is gone for the season. London goes to being a wide receiver 2 for the rest of the season. He's not a wide receiver 1 for the rest of the season, not with Kirk Cousins. And not with the injury, not with the PCL injury. If he just misses one game, great, fine. You can plug him right back into your lineup, but we got to temper expectations on Drake London for the rest of the season. Kirk Cousins looked awful, has so far this year looked awful. I do not trust Kirk Cousins. And now that London's got this PCL injury, I don't like that either. If the Falcons bottom out, it's not out of the realm of possibility that they shut him down. If this is a multi-week injury, they're 3-7. Their season is over. Their starting quarterback, they are 3-7. Their starting quarterback is gone for the year, and their star wide receiver has a PCL injury. If they lose to the New Orleans Saints this week, why even bring him back? If he's fully 100% healthy, okay, fine. But as of right now, he's not fully healthy. I have lukewarm feels on London for the rest of the season just because of the injury and Kirk Cousins being the quarterback. Honestly, trade Drake London if you can. But you might be selling low at this point. Trade Schultz for Shakir and pick up Hunter Henry? Yes. Do that now. Do that now before the game if you can. If you can make it happen before Thursday Night Football. I wish I saw this earlier. I know we've only got 10 minutes left to kickoff. Or maybe we have like 20 minutes. It's like 8:15 East. Yes. If you can make that trade happen, absolutely do that trade. Hunter Henry is a great start this week against the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't like Schultz tonight against the Buffalo Bills. Shakir is perfectly fine as a flex option. And you can pick up Hunter Henry? Yeah, I would absolutely do that. I would absolutely do that if you can. You could drop Jaden Higgins for Burrow. Jaden, if this is redraft, that's not bad, to be honest. Higgins is not a must-roster player in redraft. I like Jaden Higgins, but he's going to be tough to trust all season long. week to week as a rookie, who has shown promise and shown flashes, but he hasn't broken out yet. Higgins, what are his numbers? He's been a wide receiver two out of the past 4 weeks. That's pretty good. Last week he had 4 for 55. Okay. There's still some consistency that we need to see before we lock in Jaden Higgins as a must-roster player. If you want to pick up Burrow, I'm honestly okay with it. And if you can, again, if you can get off of DK in a second for Rashee Rice, I would do it. I would do it. Metcalf is a wide receiver 3. Rice is a wide receiver 1. Yes, if you can get Rice for DK in a second, that is highway robbery as well. That is stealing. So, yes, if you can make that trade happen, I 100% would. I 100% would do that. Rice is awesome and is going to be for a while. I know the off-field incident that happened is a little bit of a cause for concern for dynasty purposes, but we can't operate that way. When you have the chance to acquire top-level talent, you go for it. You go for it. Let's see. Member questions are taken care of, but I have a super from T-Man. Appreciate it, T-Man. Thank you for the support. Schultz or Brock Wright, or you could pick up Theo. I think I would tell you to pick up Theo. I mean, of course, that's pending Jackson Dart's availability. This is a bad matchup for Dalton Schultz tonight. I'll just say that. The Bills are quite good against opposing tight ends. Schultz is on a little bit of a run. So there is that. But this is a bad matchup by the numbers. And the tight end position is typically one where we want to chase the matchup and not necessarily get locked in on recent performances. At least when it comes to streaming options and lower end options. This is a bad matchup. It's a pretty good situation, a pretty good spot for Theo Johnson. Again, I feel optimistic that Dart will return this week. Back-to-back limited practices puts him on track to return, and I think he will return. I feel optimistic about it. That would put Theo in a really good spot with his starting quarterback back against the Lions defense, where that is a tough matchup, but it's not as difficult a matchup by the numbers as the Bills. And the Giants are almost they're almost 2 touchdown underdogs against the Lions in Detroit. They're going to be throwing the football. Jameis is going to be chucking it if he's in there. And if it's not Jameis, I think it'll be Dart. I truly think it'll be Dart. I feel better. I think, honestly, I feel good about Theo either way, whether it's Dart or Jameis. I would pick up Theo and play Theo. I'm not worried about Brock Wright. He's not on the fantasy radar yet or in general. I think they're going to funnel their production through Amon-Ra, Gibbs, and J-Mo, and maybe David Montgomery. I would pick up Theo. I would pick up Theo and I would play him, and I would sit Schultz tonight. The Bills are quite good against opposing tight ends. Appreciate the super, T-Man. Thank you. Thank you for your support. Hopefully that helps. Let me know if you need anything with just a short little while until kickoff. Let me get through these other questions. I appreciate everybody's patience as we have a little bit of time left before the game starts. Walker or Judkins as your RB2? Walker. I mean, Walker looked like he got some increased opportunities last week for Seattle. And I don't feel good about Quinshon Judkins with Shedeur Sanders as the starting quarterback. I just don't. Judkins is a great individual player. He looks good. But I do not trust this Browns offense with Shedeur Sanders. I think Judkins is more of like a flex play this week, and Walker feels really good after his performance last week. The head coach said they want to get him more opportunities, talking about Kenneth Walker. It's a great matchup against Tennessee by the numbers. I would play Walker. Need two between Trey Tucker, Tootin, and Charbonnet. Tootin and Trey Tucker. The vibes, the arrow seems to be pointing up on Walker and potentially down on Charbonnet. It is a good matchup by the numbers for Charbonnet, but it feels like Walker is is getting potentially more opportunities from the team. So I will say Tootin and Trey Tucker, assuming Tootin plays, of course. Need a wide receiver 2 and 2 flexes. You have to play Genty of this group. I know Genty was awful last week, and he's got a bad matchup this week, but you have to play, of these names, you have to play Genty and just hope for the best. Genty is a good individual talent stuck in a horrendous situation. We have to hope that the talent wins out at some point. Maybe he'll catch the ball a ton. If they can't run it, maybe they'll throw it to him. You have to play Genty as one of your flexes. You definitively need a wide receiver. I would probably play Yossi of this group. No Jamar Chase for Cincinnati. Josh Downs is third in the pecking order behind Pierce and Pittman. Washington is, a good player, but Brian Thomas could be making his return this week, so Parker would be behind Thomas and Jacoby Myers. I don't want to chase Xavier Leggett, and I don't want to play Jawan Johnson when I could play a wide receiver like Yossi Vash. Well, actually, it is a start 3. Maybe I do want to play Jawan Johnson over those other wide receivers. Because at least there's nothing scary about the matchup against the Falcons. Yeah, okay. I'll play Genty, I'll play Yossi Vash, and I will play Jawan Johnson. Genty because you have to. Yossi Vash, no Jamar Chase. Jawan Johnson caught a touchdown before the bye week. Maybe Tyler Shuck likes throwing him the ball. And there's nothing scary about the matchup against Atlanta. Genty, Yossi Vash, Jawan. Tet or Pierce? Tet. Tet broke out last week. I like Alec Pierce. I want to get him in my lineup, but not over Tet McMillan. Tet looks legit, and the production matched the eye test last week. Go back to the well with Tet McMillan. Dude looks legit. You need to start Woody, Genty, 1 or 3 of 5. Woody, Genty, Chase Brown, Travion Henderson, Tyrone Tracy. No, we're not picking up a tight end. We're playing some running backs. I am firing up Chase Brown. With no Jamar Chase, he should see increased usage. I'm playing Travion Henderson because I can't not play Travion Henderson. I don't care that Ramondre Stevenson is back. Travion Henderson looked incredible. If the Patriots coaching staff goes away from Travion Henderson after what he did the past few weeks for the sake of just going back to Ramondre Stevenson, then you can't tell me that they are galaxy braining themselves and not doing what's best for the offense. I am going back to the well with Henderson. I do not care that Ramondre is back. Woody's in a good matchup. Genty's in a bad matchup. I don't think I can sit Genty. I know the matchup stinks. The situation stinks. He has been underwhelming, but he will catch the ball in full PPR. That is a good sign. They'll probably throw him the ball maybe a little bit more this week against a good Browns run defense. I would think they get Genty in space a little bit more frequently this week. They throw him the ball a little bit more out of the backfield. I know it's like pulling teeth, but I think you have to go back to the well with Genty as what was probably your first-round pick, if not a high second-round pick. Bet on the talent and hope for the best. I like Woody tonight against the Bills, but I like Chase Brown. And I want to go back to Travion Henderson. He looked great. They got a beautiful matchup against Cincinnati. I don't want to pivot off of Travion Henderson just because Ramondre is back. And I'm not playing Tyrone Tracy from this group. He's got a horrible, brutal matchup against Detroit. Woody has a good matchup tonight, but give me Genty, give me Chase Brown, give me Travion Henderson. Those are the three backs that I want to play. We are at the end of the chat with just a few minutes to go before kickoff. I'll keep this active for another couple of minutes just in case there are any last minute questions. But I want to thank everybody for coming in and hanging out tonight. Appreciate everybody spending some time. Special shout out as always to my members. I saw Crumply Heads. I saw Sport Dog. I saw Nino. I saw E111. I saw Greg. I saw Evan. I saw Kevin. And I think those are all the members that I saw on this fine Thursday evening. Yeah, that's all of them. Appreciate the members. And T-Man, thank you for the super. Thank you so much. Okay, you have Schultz now, or do you go with a Bears tight end or pick up Jawan? It is a tough matchup tonight by the numbers for Schultz. I don't love the matchup against Buffalo. They are pretty stingy against tight ends. But I would play Schultz over the Bears tight ends. But I may pick up Actually, I may pick up and play Jawan Johnson over Dalton Schultz. Sorry, I thought you were talking about your running backs in that same question. Different question. I would play Jawan. The Falcons' defense doesn't scare me in any way. Shuck seems to like throwing the ball to Jawan just based on the small sample size. Schultz should be fine tonight, but again, it is a bad matchup by the numbers against the Buffalo Bills, and tight end is such a matchup game. It's such a matchup-driven decision to be made. And generally speaking, you want to avoid tight ends in bad matchups, and you want to play tight ends in good matchups. And I know that sounds simple, but like you are starting stud running backs and wide receivers and quarterbacks in bad matchups. I don't necessarily want to start a streaming tight end in a bad matchup, and Dalton Schultz is just that, a streaming tight end. I think I would pick up and play Jawan. And play Jawan. I'm not worried about the Falcons. Their season is sputtering out. Road game for New Orleans, or home game for New Orleans, coming off their bye week. Hell, it's not out of the realm of possibility that the Falcons' offense creates some short fields for the Saints' offense because Kirk Cousins is a shell of himself, and they're without Drake London. Like, the Saints' defense could force some short fields for the New Orleans offense, and then all of a sudden, they don't have to go very far to be in scoring position. I would play Jawan. It's like a whole it's a whole situation for me as it stands. Like, the Bills have a tough defense against tight ends, but I don't worry about their offense creating, potentially short fields for the Texans' offense. I do think there is a much greater chance that happens in the Atlanta-New Orleans game in the Saints' favor. I don't trust the Falcons' offense as it currently stands. Yeah, and the Bills' season isn't petering out. The Falcons' season is. It's like a whole picture situation for me. Would you pick up? Oh, you would have to pick up Jacoby Brissett. Then maybe just plan to play. One of Caleb or Purdy is truly fine. They both have good matchups. They both look good. The difference between them is pretty negligible as far as expectations. If you have Purdy in there now, maybe just plan to play Purdy. It's a good matchup against Carolina. And he's got his full arsenal healthy. McCaffrey's in there, Kittle's in there, Pearsall is back, and Jennings is playing. I would maybe just plan to play Purdy. Barner or not Brock Wright. He's not on the streaming radar yet. I think he had, 2 catches against the Eagles. That's a tough matchup, too. But, no, I don't want to rock with... I mean, you're hoping for a touchdown with Brock Wright, but you may not get much else. Barner has been sneaky interesting, but game script could work against him. If the Seahawks get a lead and they're running the ball, there may be fewer opportunities. I don't hate Barner. But I would probably play Jawan. Coming off the bye week. Yeah. I think I would play Jawan. I don't know. I feel good about his chances. And I feel good. The Shuck to Johnson connection, small sample size, but it's been decent. It's been decent. And coming off the bye week, they're well rested. They can wreck their division rivals' season with a win. I'll take Jawan. Dobbs, Butte, Godwin, Shakir. Not Godwin. Not in his potential first game back. Probably Shakir tonight. Dobbs gets... What did Dobbs do? Actually, it is a tough matchup for Shakir by the numbers. I think he should be fine. It's a tough matchup for Dobbs as well. And he's on the injury report with a wrist injury. I'll play Shakir tonight. If it's full, since it's full PPR, Shakir is a guy that can get volume from Josh Allen. It's not a great matchup, but I do trust Josh Allen regardless of situation. I trust Josh Allen, and it's full PPR. Shakir can rack up some targets and receptions. I'll take Shakir. Godwin, first game back potentially in a lot of time, missed multiple weeks. No thanks. Butte has missed a couple of weeks, so no thanks. And Dobbs would be the only other consideration for me here if you don't want to play Shakir on a short week. But Dobbs on the injury report with a wrist injury. The Packers' offense has been lackluster. I'll play Shakir. I'll take a shot on Shakir on Thursday night. Once again, appreciate my members. Appreciate T-Man with the Super and everybody coming in and hanging out tonight. Thanks so much for your time. Hopefully it was enjoyable. Hopefully it was fun. Hopefully it was helpful in some way, shape, or form. As we wind this down, with the kickoff fast approaching, I will be live Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern. Start, sit, help. We can finalize some thoughts, get some definitive answers to guys that are either on the fence to play or not, and ultimately help mold and shape your lineup leading into a big Week 12 slate. So be sure to tune in. If you have any unsettled situations going into Sunday, Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern, I will be here on YouTube, on Twitch. You can follow me on Twitch at facemask_fantasy. I am now simul streaming regularly on Twitch. You can join me over there. And if you need anything, if you can't join the stream, you can ask questions in the form of a comment on any streams or videos on the channel. I'll be sure to get to it. You can also join me in Discord. Discord's second link in the description of this live stream and all videos and streams on the channel. Evergreen invite, free invite. You can join the growing community over there. But we are at the end of the chat. I don't see any new questions, so I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. Best of luck in your situations tonight, whatever they are. Hopefully they go your way. I will see you guys on Saturday. Enjoy your evenings. Thanks, everybody.